So Node.js is really popular. There are companies like LinkedIn, Uber, Walmart that are using it. So what would you say the appeal of Node is, and what can you do with it?
Well, and there's a couple of appeals. First, it's JavaScript, which has become kind of a, whether we like it or not, ubiquitous language. It's everywhere. So you've got guys that know JavaScript from back in the day, from doing web client stuff, and it allows them an easily accessible language to work with on the server side. It's also a comfortable language. It looks paradigm, like existing languages. It has that C sort of feel, and people can understand it pretty well. The second, Node is a really great community that's well supported. It's come up very quickly with a lot of really good tooling, a lot of activity in the open source world, and it has that concurrency model, which makes it very good for highly concurrent applications, which is what a lot of people are really pushing towards. So these companies that need to be serving hundreds of thousands, millions of clients at the same time are going to find a lot of value out of it.
So I know you teach at different levels. So what would you give advice, people who are getting into Node or just starting out with this type of development, what kind of advice do you have for newer developers?
Well, I say the same thing for a lot of languages. Start out, if you're new to programming, especially read code. It's one of the biggest benefits that's come from open source, in the last decade, is that there are so many resources. Go to GitHub, find some of these good projects, read through the code. Great developers write and also read a lot of code, and you'll start to see the patterns emerging. You'll understand how the language works. JavaScript and Node are pretty accessible, and there's also a lot of great courses out there. There's Coursera, and there's Udacity, and there's a lot of great learning resources that have been put out there that you can find a lot of good value out of very quickly to ramp up. So I suggest kind of hit the web, read through a lot of code, and just start writing some things, even little things, to play around. Yeah. A lot of times people they want to design something big. They want that next big thing. They want to build a big project, and you get stuck in analysis paralysis. You get stuck in that biting off too much too early. So just start building little things to help you along, and then move forward.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that you consider yourself a polyglot programmer. So how has that affected you as a programmer? How has that helped you in your projects?
It's affected me in a lot of ways. I've been calling myself a polyglot or a generalist for a long time. It's kind of cool now. It wasn't for a while. People wanted you to be a Java programmer or a C++ programmer or something. I started in the C++ world, then had to adopt Java, moved into Python, moved into JavaScript, Node, learning everything. And that's what my team focuses on right now, is having to be adept or have some level of knowledge of everything out there. So for the role that I'm in now and that I've moved to, it's been invaluable that I've just happened to be ADD enough to not be able to sit still. But additionally, I think it allows you to kind of separate yourself from the language. So if you focus in one language for too long, you start to see that language's capabilities as boundaries to what programming can do or what you can do with architectures or patterns. But if you're using a ton of different languages day in, day out, and different technologies, you just start to kind of step back and be able to say, all right, what's the right tool for this job? I have this, my customer has this need. I need to build an application to do this. Is the right tool Python? Is the right tool Java? Is the right tool C++? Is the right tool Node? And you can make those assessments much more pragmatically, I think, because you're not yourself very tied to a particular technology as kind of the thing that you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems like it would give you a lot of different, new perspectives on approaching problems in different ways. So in terms of Node, I hear a lot about Express. And what exactly is Express, and how does it work with Node when you're building applications?
Sure. So Express is a web application framework, basically an MVC framework, similar to Rails for Ruby. Okay. Express was actually modeled after Sinatra, which is a lightweight Ruby MVC framework. And it was built by TJ Holloway, who has recently moved on to working more with Go. So he's been given a lot of value to the Node.js community, and now I'm sure he's going to do the exact same thing for the Golang community, which is going to be great. But Express has become kind of the premier application framework. There are a couple more out there that are doing some great things as well. But Express gives you that kind of structure and framework for creating web applications quickly, and also stuff like Kraken, PayPal's web platform, is built on top of Express. It's some modules, plugins that enable more features in Express or give you some more patterns to follow for good design and for extensibility. So Express has provided this foundation in the community for people to build up these large scalable web applications, and really done a great job at seeding kind of the vision for how web applications are done in Node.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.